I was wondering about the recording. All right. My name is Siobhan Nishay. I live up here mundanely in Reno. I've been in the SCA for a long time, held a number of offices, and been the event steward for any number of events over the years. Mundanely, I was a special education teacher and taught students with behavioral problems whose academic skills ranged from very low to very high on the general range. And currently, I am working as an independently contracted school psychologist, so I evaluate students. That's the quick version. I want to welcome all of you for coming. Please, I've got to, wait a minute, I got to fix the chat here and get it up on the side again. There we go. Please put something in the chat if you have a question while I'm talking, and I will pay attention to it. Sometimes if I get interrupted in the train of thought, I lose what I was going to say. So give me a second and I will answer your question because we don't see waving hands very well. All righty. Does anyone have any questions before we start? Okay. So I am going to do my very first screen share. I have never done this because, well, I just haven't. All right. Do you guys see it?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good. We did it successfully. I didn't have to move it to the computer screen. I can use my secondary monitor. Yay. All right. So going up here to the top, because why is that not coming up? There we go. So I wanted to create ADA flyer and event copy information because sometimes what you see for event copy is pretty awesome, and sometimes it is perhaps a little bit cluttered and might be in type or colors that can be difficult for some people to see. Not just people with vision issues in terms of acuity, but people with all sorts of learning problems might have difficulty with many colors. I'm one of those people. There's some things that I can't figure out what that's saying and I move on. So I will never go to that event because I don't know what it's about because I can't read it unless I come back in here and put it on my computer and make it bigger. So I thought, since I see this problem and Nisa asked me to do a class, I would give you just a really brief overview of some of the things that we need to consider and kind of participate with me in some of the things we are seeing on my screen and what we think of them. So things we need to consider. Who is it for? Who's our audience? What is it about? What is the critical information the viewer needs? Where and how will it be viewed? Is it going to be out mostly on a phone or a tablet, a computer screen, a physical location? So a great big poster or TV or print media. And then just a real quick Teach Act reminder. When we're doing this, and we are recording it, that I have set this up under the Teach Act, which is the educational use. That means that I can pull things off the web without fully attributing my source because I'm using it for educational purposes. I'm not getting paid for it. Nobody has to pay for it in the future. And I'm not making 10,000 copies of something that's somebody else's work. How that really applies in the virtual world, we're going to find out before this goes up on the YouTube page. So what I want you to look at here is the different fonts. We have a plain white background, we have a line, and then I deliberately put in a lot of different fonts. We have mostly serif hand and Calibri. This is serif hand up here at the top, and who is it for is all in Calibri. What is it about is Calibri and serif, and then of course the bottom is just serif. Which one is easiest for you guys to read on a computer screen for those of you who are on a computer screen? And go ahead and shout out.
The top one for me.
What we need to consider, or who is it for?
Who is it for? Actually, sorry, yeah, so that's the second one. Who is it for? What we need to consider is also legible for me, but who is it for is probably better.
Anybody else?
I agree.
Yeah. So you can see that, I mean, the serif hand is pretty, and I think at the top where it's like, I think an 80 font, I'd have to look real quick. It's readable. But the reason that they suggest Calibri is that for most people, the Calibri font is the easiest to read. Okay, and I did this so you could see like side to side. The artistic side of me kind of likes the serif. It's very pretty. It's still print, but it is harder to read. And what you notice here in a minute, I think I have it on a different screen, is that the serif, for example, doesn't do bold at all. You can make it bold, but it won't show up on the screen as bold. So there's no contrast there. All right, what about background? Is it easy to read this with a white background, or would you prefer a different color?
For me, being somebody who is prone to migraines, I would like a slightly darker color.
Like
I
maybe
also agree. Yeah.
a pale blue maybe, or a pale yellow, just something to take the shiny off of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pale
to make it
green.
a little duller.
Yeah. Okay. And we're going to play with this later on so we can get a sense for what works. All right. But you'll see that people will put up all kinds of backgrounds that are very busy, and a very busy background makes the print hard to read too. So we got to find a fine line. I have an example in here of a really nice background that has a little texture to it and doesn't interfere with what you're trying to do, in my opinion. We'll see if you guys agree. One thing that's important is this line that's up here. When you put a line under something or you put a border around it, your brain does something neurologic, and it basically says, hey, pay attention. So in my classroom, if I had a test that was true, false, and multiple choice, there was a line between the true, false section and the multiple choice section. I made all my teachers do it. I said, you're doing it for this one kid who needs it, but you watch, all of your students' scores will go up. And they would come back to me and say, everybody's scores were higher. I said, because you reset their brain between thinking true, false, and thinking multiple choice. So keep in mind that lines and borders may have a purpose that is beneficial. Here's my first example. Now this heraldic rose came out of the West Kingdom Heraldry 101 Part 4 class. This was their eye catcher. I thought it was a great eye catcher. It's simple, it's bright, but there are things about this that I think could be better. Is there placement or text or background? And we've already discussed color, right? And I deliberately left all these white, that you think would help you with this. Let's say the text at the top was the informational text about whatever was going on. Where would you prefer to see it? At the top, on the side, on the bottom?
I think the one thing that gets me, and it's probably just the way a neurodivergent brain works, is that I notice the border, how that grayish border, you can actually see the
Yeah.
it doesn't blend seamlessly into the actual slide in the back of it. And so my eye would probably twitch trying to see a title at the top as opposed to if you had them side by side.
Anybody else?
That's you put to words exactly what was in my brain, and I couldn't figure out how to say it.
Yeah. I agree. This one would be much better if we took a template that had the text on the side rather than the text at the top, because and changing the background. The background makes my eyes hurt too, because you do see that gray and it's like, wait, what? And you have to look up for the text. So when you're creating something, even if it's a Google Doc, pay attention to that sort of thing. What was the important information? The pretty picture, which caught my attention, or what you need to know? And if you're having someone fill something out, you want what they're supposed to do at the top. But maybe if they also have to click on a link or something, maybe you want that at the bottom, because their eye is going to go to all the boxes that they have to click. And they might completely miss that there is a link at the top that they're going to have to figure out before they start, or after they're, before they move on. So, if you make it like, for a couple of you, they make it like it makes you happy, it's probably gonna make a lot of people happy. Most of the stuff we're talking about does no one any harm to do it in a way that helps some people. If I put a blue background on and it doesn't make a difference to you, you don't care if it's blue. But if white really hurts your eyes, then let's see what happens if this is a working document. So let me just see if I can remember how to do background. There we go. I don't want to format the background. Oh, come on, be nice to me. No, maybe I do. Maybe it changed its words. Solid fill. Yes, but I want to change the color. Here we go. Does that help?
Yes, for me it does.
Yeah. All right, let's change it to dark green. That makes my eyes hurt. How about somebody else?
Agreed.
One thing that I use here for my work is the Web Accessibility Guide. WCAG has color contrast recommendations. So if you look at a dark green background like that, then you'd want a higher contrast text, perhaps a white text if you want that dark background.
Right, right. Yeah, you don't want to put a black type on a dark background. You ever see some of the labels on food or medicines or whatever, and who decided to put that tiny print in that font with that background? I got to go get a magnifying glass. And I do have links at the end to probably the same site you just referenced. There's some that talk about making posters on phones. There's some templates out there. There's a whole ADA making flyers website that offers suggestions. So I like this way better. It's much softer. It doesn't make my eyes hurt. And it makes this stand out. So I actually see the letters because they don't kind of disappear into the background for me. All right, so this one, I'm going to go ahead and just change that background to, I don't know, let's try this. Nope, I don't like that. Let's try. How's that? Is that still too pink?
No, it's gentler in a way.
Gentler. Could it be more gentle still, do you think? Let's try this one now. See, I don't think that, yeah, it is gentler. What about this one? There. How's that?
Yeah, I like that.
It's extremely subtle.
It is very subtle. It helps to bring out what we're looking at and take away that horrific white. So here's an example of a template that puts the words next to the poster. And I made this poster in the smaller size on purpose because I first read this on my phone. All right, and here's an example of white type on a darker background. Personally, I don't find that easy to read. What about you guys?
Who was it said? Baroness Holman said that she lives in dark mode, and I do too. I personally find it easier to read white type on black. I don't know why.
Okay. I found that out of the two sides that the light gray with the black type was easier for me to read than the white with that shade of brown. Now up at the top where it's got the different shade of brown with the white, that was easy for me to read. There was just something about that shade of brown with the white. I had to like, what does that say on my phone? Okay, so I'm looking specifically. Go ahead.
For me, I think part of that's to do with the saturation. The brown up at the top is very desaturated, which makes the white text easier to read, whereas it's a very saturated orange down below. And even if you didn't change the darkness of that, I think if you desaturated it, it would make it easier to read.
Yeah, that's a good point. So, you're trying to make it so people can see it, and you're trying to make it creative, which is, kind of awesome. But you also have to bear in mind, if someone's reading that on their phone, are they going to have to, hit expand, and scroll around? And if they have to do that, are they going to finish reading about your event? I like the fact that she put this little border between. Here's some information, here's some different information. I like that what it is right in the middle, in a different background and a different size type. It's like pony ears. Pony ears always get my attention with, the blue background. So overall, I kind of like it. I just think that there's some problems for reading it on your phone. I think as a wall poster or a computer, it's probably fine. Any other feedback on that one? Anything you would change if it were you? Okay.
Personally,
Go
I
ahead.
think the 10 oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna say I think the 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. I think that's in too small of a font. If you look at the font there, it's got a very high contrast between a high font weight and a low font weight, and so it's kind of hard to read where it says like AM because it's got that really skinny and really dark parts of the A. So if you're gonna go with a font size that small, I might make something with a more consistent font weight.
Yeah. You also could put it inside of a border and have it be maybe white with black type. That small might bring it out. There's things you could play with. But I agree. I have to like, what does that say? Is that 100? And I've had cataract surgery. I got great vision now. First time in my life. But yeah, that one 10 a.m. to 4:30. I mean, I'm peering at it here and I've got a 23-inch screen. So yeah. Those are just things that maybe you run it past someone and say, hey, what do you think? Would you come to this? This is the one by Her Royal Highness that she just put out like 4 or 5 of them and said, hey, please go share. And I like this one. I like this one a lot. What do you guys think? What, if you like it, tell me why. If you don't like it, tell me why.
The greens are really easy for me to read against the white is very easy for me to read against these greens. And there are some separation, like I see in the Society for Creative Anachronism part, there's like that lighter green box around it that makes it easier for me to see.
Yeah, the contrasting is actually very well balanced.
Mhm. I like that the background was multiple shades of green, but none of them were that different. They're just really, really subtle. So it doesn't interfere with what you're trying to read. You'll notice that she used what font? Calibri.
Calibri.
I think Society for Creative Anachronism might not be in Calibri. Yeah, it is. So it's all in Calibri, which makes it really easy to read. We have to avoid the desire to make it an art project. It's an informational poster. It should have some color. It might have some pictures, but it's there to provide information, not to submit to our art teacher. So it has to have the practicality balance with the art.
Leave the arting to art.
Leave the arting to art. But this is still artistic, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
But that's not the purpose of it.
That's not the purpose of it. So we're going to go and try a different background here. What do you think? You like that background on the behind it now?
I think that since you have that kind of more shaky hand-drawn bullet points off to the side, you need something with a slightly lighter shade background.
Okay. Let's try, where am I? Let's try the lightest one. What do you think? It seems a little, is it better? I'm going to try the next one down because that one feels a little bright to me. I actually like this one a little better. It still makes the serif hand hard to read, however. So if I was going to keep the serif hand, I would go with the lighter one. I wouldn't keep the serif hand at all, but I wanted it in there so you could kind of like just feel for it. All right, so this example, right here we go, was done by Elsie. And there are many things I like about this one. I like the bright colors because immediately I looked. I like that different bits of information are inside borders and that there's some color changes that help you to see that there are different things going on. There's some pictures. I think it would make a really great wall poster. I'm not so sure it is as legible as we'd like it to be on a phone. That's my opinion. What about you guys?
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I'd agree too.
I actually don't have a problem with this one.
You don't have a problem with it?
No.
For me, I think this one has slightly too, like I said earlier about things being too saturated. I might try and take some of these places where it's a more vibrant orange and just take it down just a little bit, just because it can be a little bit hard to focus on, I guess.
Yeah, I think that there's probably more information than we need from a "Hey, come to my class" poster, which may be part of the problem. The other thing I forgot to mention I like is it's got the QR code, which is pretty cool too.
The
What's that?
gradients are a little much for me, but that's okay. Where it's
Yeah.
bright in the middle and it's darker on the sides.
Uh-huh. So there are good things about this. I think there are things we could change that would make it a little easier for the reader on a phone. And I think if we're doing this in today's day and age, we need to be thinking about the person. You can't see my phone, but I have oh, here we go. I don't have a big phone. I don't like carrying around a big phone. So this one's got a 5-inch screen. It's a Galaxy A54, which is the equivalent of the S22 in size. So there are a lot of things that, I zoom them up and then some days I just don't have the patience for it. But there are good things about this. This I particularly like. Where it is, when it is in the middle. Very, I think, legible. It's got the QR code. I know what's going on and where it is. So that part was good. All right. So this here, at the top, you'll see we have the serif hand. And example number 4 is in Calibri. And the rest of it's in Calibri. Serif hand, not bold, and then Calibri in bold. Okay. So it's a little easier to read against that white background if it's in bold. Let's see if we can get an orangey. That helps, I think. Is that better?
Yeah, for me it is.
Yeah. It makes the letters easier to see, and there isn't so much contrast between the example and the background. See how many of these we put into this very light sort of brownish background? I don't know what color it is. It's at the light end of the background scale on that column. All right, so this one we're going to try something else here. I like green backgrounds, but let's see what happens. It's too dark, right? Do we have trouble reading this with that darker color in the back?
That's staring to my eyes.
Yeah. What about this one? It's okay, I think. Yeah, let's see. What about that?
Yeah, to me, that's good.
Yeah, I thought that the brown still was I call it reflective. It's reflecting back at me and I don't like it. It's like, ow. So I just wanted to give you some examples of type so that you can see for yourself. So the title's in serif, and then this sentence is in font size 28. I think it's still readable, even if it is serif. Changed it to bold. Nothing happens. So if you're looking to go, whoa, that's a little hard to read, I'll make it bold. Serif hand isn't going to let you do that. And that's true for a lot of fonts. They just won't let you change it to bold. Calibri in font 28, nice and legible. Calibri in bold. Calibri in 14, still legible, but would not be legible on a phone. Right? That would just sort of disappear. All right, now we want to get artistic. Oh, I want to have pretty hand. I want to, it just should be pretty, right? So I just picked one. Is that Lucida? Is that how we pronounce it? Lucida handwriting, font size 28. Is it legible? Anybody? Can everybody read that? Now let's use Lucida handwriting, font size 28.
It's not really. I mean, I'd be okay with that being just like one line, but not like it's really when it's the font size 28 is more legible than the font size 14 for sure. But I would say like, don't use it for a body of a text, maybe for the title, but no.
Yeah. I think you can get away with using an artistic title. For a lot of the fonts, they'll still work, but your text really does need to be in Calibri. That's the reason why it's picked. All right, so what is rule number 1? I forgot to mention this at the beginning. What is rule number 1 of creating a PowerPoint? Anybody?
I don't know.
Less is more.
Not
How many of you have been to a training where they did everything on PowerPoint and there were paragraphs up there? And even if you're at the front of the room, you can't read what it says, much less the back. I just take out a book and wait. They're going to record it. I'll do it later. So do not fill up your slides if you're doing a PowerPoint with a lot of text. This is about as much text as you should have, and it's all bullet points. So here, rather than putting 5 web pages on one screen, I tried just so you could see what it looked like. It didn't work. It was horrible. I put 2 on this one, and because that is a link, let's use, how's that? Does that work? To change the background to that color?
Yeah,
Yeah. Is there, do you think I could try better? Should we go more bluey?
let's try blue.
Okay, let's try blue. Oh, not that.
No,
Woo!
no.
Yeah, not that. Okay. Where's the blue? Here's the blue side. Nope, that's the green side. Where's my blues? Outing all the outs and free move over. Huh.
You're in theme colors that's not picking blue as a theme.
It is not picking blue as a theme. No.
That's different thing.
All right. Well, let's
You get
try.
like the third one down on the left edge, that's gonna be so much fun. Or sorry, right edge, third one down.
The third one down on the right edge.
Yeah, like the medium green one.
I see standard colors, but when I picked standard colors, all I got was the saturated color.
Right,
with no options.
you're down on like the 6th or 7th row instead of the 3rd row. You're in standard colors. Look at theme colors.
Look under more colors.
I think I feel
Yeah.
anyway, you can just pick off the chart thing.
There. That's a little better. Maybe I still don't like that though.
I was saying when you're in that upper group there, that group, 3rd one on the right, 3rd one down on the right.
Third one down on the right. 1, 2, 3. This one?
No, that's 3rd one across on the top.
Oh, third one down. Okay, which column? Left, start with
All the way
left
right, all the way right,
all the way right in the greens.
down 2 or 3 from there. I've seen this, and you click that, and what happens? All your green against green goes away, and you can't even see the links. I've seen people do that, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Oh, that's bad. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't think, like real quickly here, I'm going to get a better color. That one's probably okay. Those pinks just hurt my eyes. Probably that's our best thing here, just to be able to bring out the links. So this one is full of really bad flyer designs and talks about some common mistakes, and it's fairly current. This is accessible signage guidelines. So it gives you some information about making accessible signage, and we'll change the background on this one while we're at it. So I came up with the question 3 days ago and asked a friend of mine who does web design, and I said, so how do I do the embedded text for photographs? And he blinked, he said, yeah, you do this. And he told me, and I promptly forgot because I don't learn through my ears real well. And so I went and looked it up, and it turns out it's pretty easy. So I gave you the link for that. Flyers for a phone. I think if we presume that most people are reading on a phone, that's not a bad presumption to make, because if you can read it on the phone, you can read it anywhere. And then there were some nice little templates on this one that work really, really well. So I can drop these into, let me get rid of this, into the chat box if that helps. But what I thought we would do here, oops, backgrounds. I put that away. There's a gradient fill in pink. Ooh, why pink? Wow. So on this one, right, I went to gradient fill and it put the text in white and the background behind it. How does that work for people?
Ouch.
Ouch. Anybody else? Let's see what picture or texture fill does. Is that better? Or does that still hurt?
I just don't like the white behind the text. It hurts my eyes still.
Yeah, and I think what they're trying to do is keep the black text, right? Ooh, no, make that go away. Whew. Wow. All right, let's just go to something that's, yeah, see, it keeps doing that.
You got your,
Okay.
those texts are set with a highlight instead of a background, and that's the highlight of white, so that is where.
So if I click hide background graphics, what am I going to get?
I don't think that'll make a difference.
Yeah, I don't either.
Mm.
Okay.
Oh, there it is. If you select your text,
Yeah.
okay, you can see that there's a yellow highlighter icon in the block of font.
Yep. Let's change that.
Change that to no color.
I was just gonna, let's see what it looks like if we change it to any colors, right?
Because I think it's set to.
Oh, there we go. Dark brown with black type. So gray maybe. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. Go away. There we go. No, now it's being weird. Stop that. What happens if we change?
Well, that's the font color.
Yeah, I was just gonna see about changing the font color. Look at that. That's horrible.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's worse. Ah, that's actually more legible, right? That's kind of bad. All right. Ooh, and I've seen this. I mean, I've seen this. It's like, please, people, don't do this to me. That's, I don't think, any better. They changed it, you know, it's changed to white, but oh, come on, stop. There. All right, let's get this back to white. Back to black. There we go.
So if we've discovered anything over these past 33 minutes, is that we're all very much a fan of earth tones. And I actually have no problem with the cherry pink background with the black font on it. The problem is that weird background, the gray color, the black on top of the gray, like that's disturbing. But like the black on pink is actually not that bad at all.
It isn't. And it's kind of what we were doing earlier. We kept the black font, but we changed the background.
Right.
And so if you don't have a whole lot of time to create something, it might be best to keep your black type, but make the background work for you because it's quicker than trying to find, you know, a white on black or this or that. And, you know, and you were saying you do the dark mode because you like the white type on the black, and this works for you. So I personally am not real fond of the white type on black. I can do it, but I find it harder to read than this with a pale background and black type. We're all, I mean, that's the problem. We're all a little different, and we're not going to be able to do this for 100% of the people. But what can we do to create flyers that work better for more people? That's the best we can hope for. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I would love to share these. Do you guys, how would you guys like me to get these to you while you're waiting for the recording to perhaps go up? I could stop sharing my screen and then just grab them. I have them on a separate Word doc that you and grab them, put them in the chat pod. Would that allow you to grab them for yourselves?
I don't know if you could you share, do you have a link to where you have this slideshow stored? That way we could access that. I don't know if you could actually put the
I can
slide-
save it to Drive, but I don't know how to give everybody access to
Right.
Drive. I have just the links on a Word document that is just on my computer, so I could grab it and move it for you guys today.
If you'd like to just mail me your slide deck, I can post that in the docs for this event. And then we can.
Okay. Yeah, this is not published yet because I wanted to be able to play with it while we were talking.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, so I will go
Okay,
ahead and
Let me
and
rephrase.
change.
So
I'm gonna leave some of the
That's,
backgrounds white, just, so that people can see it. But yeah,
if you'd like to just, whatever it is that you'd like to have published, just send it to me and I can put it on.
okay, sure. Does
And for the
anyone,
participants, if you go back to the website, probably after tonight, and go to the descriptions page for all of the different slides or the different sections, I will post the link to that document in that description.
okay,
So that's where you can find the link to the document, and the document will be stored on the website.
you can do that. Would you guys prefer that I change all the backgrounds if it's going to be a static document before I send it out?
I
could
I
put a little
think having,
text. Go ahead.
having some of the backgrounds the way they are right now, like the subtle colors, I think that really helps to have it that way.
Yeah, I could leave one white and just put a note saying this is white on purpose so you can see why we don't do white.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can change that. I will do it on the second slide because I think the first one has got enough stuff in it that the white background. Is this one, I think the white background is okay. Yes, no, change it.
It's okay for me because it's only half of the slide, so it's fine for me.
What about Edward? What do you think?
I think your title slide is actually probably the best one in its original form, and that's because 60% of it is like it's a picture with a darker background, and so it makes it easier to read. I think if anything, I would make your name a little bigger.
$32?
That one.
38? That one? Okay.
See, I can read that better.
Yeah. How's that?
Better.
Okay.
Great.
So what I will do is this one is,
I think if you showed us anything to give artistic license, I think your title slide should be a little whimsical. I like the title slide, so.
Okay, let me just change the font. I'm one of those people that I type what I want and then I change the font. Too small. I want to try and get it on just one line. I think go one larger. 40? Yeah. How's that?
Ouch.
Does that work?
Yeah. Can
Okay.
I have a question when you're ready to take
Oh, absolutely.
questions. So when I post, I learned a year or two ago about like image descriptions. And so I've been encouraging people when possible to put image descriptions that, like if you have an image like this one with the rose, in it, if you have, the image description would say what the text says, and it says, and they would say an image of a medallion with a rose in it in red and white and green color, and with the yellow center, and a white background, and the text has a pale green background and description. And then that's for people with screen reader who don't have screen readers, so they can actually know what's in the image, because sometimes people will just post these slides as images, right? Oftentimes, and they expect that everybody's gonna be able to read them. And for all the reasons you've given in the past 45 minutes, that doesn't happen, right? So would it help at the, if people want to keep their pretty looking pictures, would it help to ask them at least to do image descriptions, or would you prefer both? Like what's best for people? I do a lot less posting on social media because I want to make sure I do image descriptions, and it takes time.
Does.
But it's time that, to me, it's worth it, because I think, you're doing a little bit to make things more accessible.
And I would agree. The difficulty I personally ran into is I didn't know how until Chris said, "Oh, you do this." And of course, 5 minutes later, I had no idea what he told me because I didn't write it down. You don't teach me through my ears. So I had to go and get that link, and I haven't had a chance to play with it, and I didn't want to mess with this. But I think it depends. You have to balance the amount of time it takes with who you expect your audience to be and how permanent is the thing. Right? If I'm doing something that is a one-off, maybe I do a very simple description. Right? And if it's something that's going to be recorded and live forever in the internet, then maybe I do a more complex description. But it's one of those things that I think is going to take time, because like me, I would want to sit and play with this website and figure it out and make sure I knew how to do it. I sat down 2 days ago to create this because I know how to do PowerPoint. I did PowerPoint they've changed it. And I'd forgotten some things. And so it took me 2 days to do this because I had to remind myself how to do it. So much for thinking that, these things stay in memory forever. But yeah, I think that we have to balance our own time versus the utility of what we're doing and the longevity of it.
Yeah.
There's value in doing it. Absolutely, there's value in doing it. But not everything has to be a book.
Right. In some cases, people could just copy from whatever they're posting, like copy the text and then just put it in. I
Yes.
ran into a problem with Facebook the other last week, I think, or the week before, when I was trying to post images about the roundtable, and Facebook decided that my images were actually about me trying to get likes. So they banned my images, and they were just like the image behind me, right? Like I couldn't use this. And I was like, okay, well, that makes my job easier, actually, because all I got to do is write some text and then screenshot it, and then I can put it on Instagram and put the image description, but anyway.
Yeah.
So
I will, now that I have a link on how to, I'm going to sit down and play with it so I can do it. Telenor, would you like me to not send this to you until I have a chance to put in the text descriptions of pictorial stuff?
As you wish.
Might be a few days.
Or you can just put one example of how to do it. You don't have to do them all. I mean,
yeah. Well, I'm thinking about anybody who reads, has access to this outside of the folks that are here who would need a text reader. Again, is this going to go to people in the future who would find utility in having that because they use a text reader?
Yeah, I think so. When I approached somebody who had made some posts with pictures, and I said, could you do an image description? And they said to me, sure, can you show me how to do them? And then they asked, it would be really great to have examples of why this is important. And you've just given us almost an hour-long information session on why it's important. And I really, really appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Well, I appreciate you guys that you have revived my interest in teaching Zoom because you participated. I don't like lecturing. I like audience participation, and on Zoom, you don't get to see everybody's faces, right? It's harder. So I'm not getting that. I'm a theater geek. I want the emotional reaction from the audience.
Feedback is important.
Yeah, it is. So, but you guys have done a wonderful job restoring my faith and that this is fun. And I had fun today. And we brought up a lot of things that made me think about what I would do. So that's good. I'm certainly no expert, right? I have a background in helping students who have difficulty. That doesn't make me a literacy expert, but I had fun. And I think, Eleanor, what I'm going to do is play around with adding the text descriptors, because it's not very many slides and it's not very many pictures. So let me play around with that for a couple of days, and I will send you a copy that has those in it. Let's do it right.
Perfect.
Okay.
I like it.
Thank
Okay.
you so much. Would you like
Well,
me to
thank
stop
you guys.
recording?
This was fun. I had a good time.
Yay.
And that's
Yeah.
what's important is that people are enjoying the interaction.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we had a group discussion about it. So yay, that was fun. Okay. Anything else?
Thanks again. Love the interactivity. Because we got visceral reactions every time you would change something.
I don't like that.
Or I like that, or that works.
Yeah.
And some
Okay.
color combinations are just gonna utter revulsion. That's all that's gonna
Yes.
happen.
And you might be fine with it. And I go, oh no, please don't do that.
Right?
So we can only do what we can do. Right.
Well, I
Find
have to be
something we don't
careful at
hate that
work
other
because
people
all of
don't.
my students are pretty much dudes, and a lot of them are red-green colorblind.
Yes. Yeah. So I have right up now, I have those, reds and greens. They're going to see shades of gray. Right. And there's women out there that are colorblind in slightly different ways than most men are. But yeah, I think probably the most cool technical thing on an aside is the glasses for people who are colorblind. Have you seen those? Oh, go look for that online. They have a bazillion videos now of someone putting them on for the first time and being able to see color. Even if it isn't seeing color the way somebody who isn't visually challenged might see it, they're seeing color. It's pretty cool. It's been around for probably 8 or 10 years now, and it just keeps getting better and better, of course. So, all right. I think we're done.
Thank you. I'll stop
Thank you so
recording.
much.
Thank you.
Yay.